Welcome to this week's PinkUn Show, our dedicated Canaries shenanigans, where we'll forgive all sorts of issues for a 94th minute equaliser, maybe even a winner sometimes. I'm Michael Bailey. We are here at the Woolpack Public House in the centre of the fine city, and we are live. And over the next 30 minutes or so, we will wrap up the big Birmingham talking points, discuss the first deadline day of the summer, never mind the season, and get ready for our first return to Carrow Road since Wes Houlihan said goodbye. Gosh, that feels like a lifetime ago already. And we will do all this in the company of our delightful duo tonight. Canaries fan Edward Young. Hello there, Ed.
Hiya, you all right?
Well?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Good.
Yeah,
and
good.
Last season's joint Flip the Bird victor and my football writer, columnist too. I'm not sure which of those you're more proud of. We won't ask you that one. Steve Cook. Steve, how are you?
Still dining out on both, to be fair. Yeah.
That's the way. Make the most of it, indeed. Great to have you both on. How's your summer been? All good? I know we're a game into the season, but it is still summer.
Not enough football, really, over the summer.
Really?
No, I'm joking. Well, that 2 weeks in between the end of the World Cup and the beginning of the season was hard. Yeah.
Well, that was pre-season, basically.
Well, indeed, yeah. No, very good, thank you. Yeah, optimistic and looking forward to Saturday.
Good, I like that. Steve, you?
It's gone quick, hasn't it? And I don't know whether that's my advancing years or the World Cup, but basically here we already are, one game gone. And it only seems like yesterday since dried the tears from Wes's departure. So.
It'll be Christmas before we know it. There you go. We are live on PinkUn.com and the PinkUn Facebook page, and we want to hear from you too tonight, be it on how happy or not you were with Birmingham Point, what you want from deadline day, Mark 1, and your thoughts ahead of West Brom, but especially your one request, think about this too, boys, your one request for Carrow Road's return to action, the one thing you want to see. You can get all those through to us here at the pub. Simply post your words below the Facebook feed, and they will ping right through to my phone, all being well. John Warner says, hello, Mr. Paul. Hello there, John. Now, with Wesley Houlihan still mildly pleased, no one is wearing the number 14 shirt this season. Well, not at the moment. Anyway, here she is with this week's Norwich City headlines, Ed. Oh, beautiful. Brum deal. It wasn't the result most wanted, but then 2-1 down in the 94th minute of added time, you'll probably take it. Onel Hernandez, take a bow or do a somersault, and 10 points for not taking his shirt off again. Yannick Stations. How about that? West Brom's first game back in the Championship, and they lose 2-1 at home to a side almost relegated last season, thanks to a late winner from on-loan winger Yannick Vilskut. Let's hope another City player repeats the trick on Saturday. When is a deadline? Not a deadline. When there's another deadline soon after. Yes, the Premier League and EFL can only buy players up until 5 p.m. on Thursday or tomorrow. After then, the EFL clubs can at least bring in loans. All English clubs can still sell until the actual FIFA window closes, which is August the 31st at 11 p.m. And no, I can't see City doing much business either. And finally, Zimbo nails it. City centre-back Christoph Zimmermann plans to play the waiting game at Norwich City, although Tim and Grant might need to start looking a little more solidly than at St Andrews to ensure it stays that way. One more, Ed. And we are off. Love it. All in all, guys, has the pre-season optimism been preserved by that first outing at Birmingham?
I think you could say so. I mean, you take a point at the beginning of the game, or before the game. And one thing we've proven is that we have a winger that can score a couple of goals. So, I definitely think if you remained optimistic or started off being optimistic, you can continue to do so based on that performance. Maybe a little wake-up call for the back four for the defensive side of stuff.
Yeah, it was sort of a split performance in that way. I mean, if Norwich hadn't gone behind and maybe scored first, they probably would have gone on to win the game. And we were all kind of wondering whether Birmingham were going to be there for the taking after the difficult summer they've had, but that was far from the case.
It's probably one of the results at the end of the season you might look back and say, actually, we only got a point at St Andrews, but the way I figure it, we've got plenty of time to be pessimistic throughout the rest of the year. So let's dwell on the positives for now and say, going in or losing, heading into injury time to come out with a point, great. Onel Hernandez, 2 goals. He looks like he's carried the momentum and the promise from last season. Another big plus. And quite like Shabeni's little cameo at the end.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I feel like we were obviously Anel Hernandez took all the plaudits from the weekend, and we haven't seen many wingers do that, finish 2 chances like that really, although the goalkeeper probably should have saved the first. But yeah, Dennis's impact, and actually I hadn't realised that the chance Anel had where he just missed the far post, that also came from a Dennis Trebeni break through the middle. So we sort of all, I think we actually had a poll at PinkUn.com that said, who do you think is going to finish Norwich's top scorer? I think Dennis actually got 0 votes, or certainly 0%, which is just, for a striker, you're like, whoa. So the level of expectation with Dennis is so low, but really, as Steve says, really promising sign.
Well, I think you can't. I mean, obviously Daniel Farker and Stuart Webber found something good in him, and you can't write a play like that off. I think you've seen with a lot of these players, they've got no championship experience when we bought them. Dennis Trebeni definitely fits into that mould, but sometimes you see players like that, the penny just drops. And I was very surprised to see him do such a, he's quite quick when he gets behind. He plays from behind as well, and he did a lovely through ball for fell over straight after. But but I think he was quite well tackled, or needed to be. But people were writing him off last season completely, saying he's got nothing in him, and he just can't do that in this league of such a short space. He joined us in January. He played a bit part role as well. There's a lot of players that fit under this as well. They've got varying different degrees of ability and have shown various different degrees of promise. But if you give these players game time and oxygen, Dennis Trebeni could prove to be a really good player.
I know it was only a sort of short and sweet performance from him, but if we'd have signed him in the summer and that was our first glimpse of him, you'd have been like, awesome. Yeah, he's going to be a player, isn't he? So as you rightly say, Ed, it's kind of people take time to find their feet. Ewan Roberts, the classic, first season absolutely awful, second season different player. And I'm not saying that Dennis is going to go on to be a club legend, but
Mario Vrankic at the beginning of the season looked like a lost man, and then I think he was playing a blinder against Chelsea in the FA Cup. He kept us in the game on more than one occasion, if I recall correctly. He really improved. If there was a most improved player of the season, Vrankic would have got it, and it just goes to show, give these players oxygen, give them playing time, they improve.
All right. Enough of all this optimism. Now, I sat there on Saturday. PinkUn.com/live, full live coverage of every game. People were not happy, and while obviously Norwich went behind, they were behind twice in the game. They never led it, and a lot of people felt that maybe Daniel Farker had set up to be negative, had set up for a draw. I think I've made my views on this all pretty clear in the press and on the PinkUn podcast. But I mean, do any of you guys buy into that?
There's one name that's automatically going to cause a reaction, and that's Husband at left back, because he is quickly becoming the scapegoat, and you can argue whether that's justified or not. But equally, there was a lot of flack around Tetty and Tribal, and people wanting to see Leitner. Now, Mo's my favourite player, so again, you look at it, you see the team sheet, he's not there, bit gutted, but you can't kind of, the thinking is sound, because Tetty and Tribal were the ones who were pivotal to that run that we had last season, where we went on that kind of record-breaking run of clean sheets. So there's logic in what he's doing, but my sense is that Farker's naturally quite cautious. He sets his team up, first of all, not to lose, and then hopefully push on and win. And there'll be a lot of players, or a lot of fans in particular, who sit there and go, no, you need to be more expansive. We didn't score enough last season, so come on, throw these players in. But first game of the season away from home, as much as it pains me, I can see the logic in what he did.
I mean, also, his side was very expansive at the start of last season and got completely smashed in a few places as well.
Absolutely, like Millwall, for instance. I think it was throwing caution to the wind, and it was just saying this get. I mean, he's a possession-based tactician. Let's have a series of players that we know that can hold the ball. I was surprised not to see McLean and Mark Leitner omitted from that. I was really surprised, because I thought these are probably our single most creative players. But maybe there's something in about when you've got creativity and players like that, they're playing a high risk game, you're more likely to lose the ball. Perhaps that was mind thinking, but I have no criticism over his team selection with hindsight. Very, very surprised to see Stiepermann have a role. Actually, I thought that was quite interesting. But look, as I said, I would have taken a point at the beginning of the game. Really would have.
And just on, I guess Alex Tetty played the full 90 minutes, basically played 45 minutes of pre-season, ridiculous performance really in that context. He didn't do anything particularly spectacular, but the fact he lasted the game was something. Likewise, Grant Hanley, I feel a little sorry for him because he got caught a bit short on a few occasions, but the guy hasn't played he hasn't had a full pre-season like Tim and some of the other players. It has been a bit bitty. He only started playing really when they came back from the tour, I think that was his first outing, so you're only talking about a couple of weeks before the season. So with that, I played a bit in that, because obviously some people were saying it was because he was wearing the captain's armband, because some people like to have a choke.
The thing is, you know that Hanley's going to be a key player for us this season. So I guess there is a question to say, right, when we're playing pre-season, there's the balance between keeping all the squad involved, getting minutes under everyone's belt, as opposed to making sure that on that first fixture, if you've got a view what your first 11 or your starting 11 is, make sure that they're absolutely ready. I can't slag off Tetty because my mum's Norwegian and she would kick my backside. But I thought, actually, in the circumstances, for him to do what he did, because he was ill, wasn't he, and he missed games through illness, and for him to put in the full 90 minutes after, as you say, not featuring a lot through pre-season, immense, really.
Phenomenal stuff. Brilliant. Well done, gents. Right, let's just rattle through some of the questions. Remember, get them into us on the Facebook feed, and we want to hear your one Carrow Road request for our return to the home of football, certainly in Norfolk, anyway, on Saturday. Let's have a look at what we've got here. Just to say, by the way, Tom Vince is manning the production today, doing a sterling job. He hasn't done it since I think we were in reception back at Archant Towers in about 2012, so he's doing brilliantly so far. To that point, Dan Smith says he's watching from his sick bed. Good luck, guys. Well, hope you're not feeling quite so sick now, Dan. What have we got here then? Kerry Lord Boardman says hello. Hello there, Kerry. Mark Hayho, most important question, how good are pineapple bounties? I cannot recommend them highly enough. If you end up in Russia, get them, and also let me know so you can bring me back some more pineapple bounties. Barry Newman, hindsight is a wonderful thing, but do you think Farke should have been more adventurous and started McLean and tried to win the game from the start rather than setting up for a point, which is exactly what we were just talking about then. James Morrell, no, started optimistic, was thoroughly depressed after 60 minutes. So James obviously not very happy with the team selection. Steve Mortlock, it will all come together, trust in Farke. Harvey Monk says Parslack is awesome, which is interesting because we haven't seen him yet and he wasn't in the 18, so we might have to wait a little while before we see Felix in the setup. And Mike Draper says, never upset your mother-in-law. Happy with that, Steve?
Yeah, that's wise words, absolutely.
Keep the messages coming in. So, how did the City players do at Birmingham according to the pundits? Well, here's David Freeze's player ratings from St Andrews.
I'm David Freezer and these are my ratings from Norwich City's 2-2 draw at Birmingham. Tim Krul, a decent debut for City's new number one. Not much chance with the first goal. He was unsighted by the first shot being deflected back to Jack Magoma, but he will be a bit disappointed with the second goal. Busy in the first half though and did hold a couple of shots from Magoma. I'll give Krul a 6. Ben Marshall started at right back, another City debutant today. Fairly steady at right back, tried to get forward but without a great deal of success, did lash one shot wide in the second half. I will give him just about a 7. Grant Hanley, City's new skipper, not the smoothest of days for the centre-back. Certainly a horrible moment at the end of the first half when he underhit a pass Tim Closer. Tim bailed him out with a tackle which somehow didn't get a booking, but I'll give Grant a 6. Tim Closer, a good day for Tim. As I say, he's already bailed out Grant Hanley, and I would say he was probably better than Grant as well today. He was tough in the tackle, he looks fit, and he was quick across the ground as well, so Tim gets a 7. James Husband, a start at left back with no Jamal Lewis, but if he continues to play like this, he won't be staying in that position when Jamal is fit. Replacing the 63rd minute by Moritz Leitner, which meant Marco Stiepermann moved to left back, and James just looks devoid of any confidence, and like his touch is not there, I'm afraid, so it's a 5. Alex Tetty, I mean, no Tetty, no party is the hashtag on Twitter, and he showed that again today, vital in shielding that defence and somehow recovering from chickenpox in time to play a full 90 minutes here on the opening day of the season, so Alex gets a 7. Tom Tribal, not the best of days for Tom, used the ball smoothly but in defence wasn't particularly great. Replacement in the 63rd minute by Kenny McLean, and I'd say Moritz Leitner was having more of an impact in midfield once he was in that mix, so I'll give Tom a 5. Marco Stiepermann, a bit of a surprise to see Marco starting. He was generally on the right wing. I thought he might be on the left to provide a bit of protection for James Husband, but a bit of a sloppy performance, didn't really offer too much going forward, although he did get stuck in. Was eventually replaced after moving to left back to replace James Husband, and looks like he might have a bit of a knee problem. I'll give Marco a 5. Timu Pukki, another of City's 4 debutants in the starting lineup today. Plenty of effort, but didn't look particularly quick or sharp. It certainly played his part in the comeback and plenty of urgency, but hopefully there's more to come. But his first appearance, I'll give Timu a 6. Onel Hernandez, clear man of the match, scored the 2 important goals, took them very clinically as well, and that's what Daniel Farke has been looking to see from all of his squad. Onel stepped up on the first day, and I think those 2,300 fans in the away end will remember that man of the match performance for a long time, so I give Onel an 8. Jordan Rhodes, the 4th debutant in City's team, so close to opening the scoring in just the 8th minute, but a brilliant save by Conor Truman in the Birmingham goal. Second half, brilliant cross from Moritz Leitner just before Onel Hernandez equalised. Really should have been burying that header from close range. Hopefully he will be once he gets up to speed, but for me, Jordan gets a 6. And a quick word for the subs. Moritz Leitner, very influential. Daniel Farke said he was outstanding, and I think he'll be in the starting lineup if he continues to play like that. I'll give Moritz a 7. Kenny McLean really added some urgency and impetus to Norwich after he came off the bench, and I think Kenny won't be far away from the starting lineup either. 7. And finally, Dennis Srebeni. Daniel Farke jokingly described his assist for Onel Hernandez's second goal as being something like Diego Maradona would have done. That was probably over-egging it a little bit, but he certainly played his part in the comeback, and it was a positive performance from Dennis, so he gets a 7. For all the reaction and analysis from St Andrews, head over to PinkUn.com.
Sterling work, Tom. Look at that, and well done, Dave Freezer. He's very happy with that. Well done, Dave Freezer, on your reviews. Great stuff. We'll hopefully bring those to you over the course of the season, from myself, from Dave, and of course from Paddy Davitt too. Just to note that behind us we've got the Championship random games being played at the moment. The one when we came in, Norwich beating Ipswich in the playoff semi-final. Perfectly timed, the Woolpack. Well done. Guys, what I kind of felt from the first team selection is just how competitive Norwich's squad is at the moment, and heading into what is the last 24 hours for Norwich to actually sign players permanently. It's sort of business done, really, isn't it? Is there anywhere where you'd like to see them do any business?
There is an area I would like to see them do something. I'm not critical at all of the calibre of players we brought in.
There's a but.
There is a but. And obviously you can't control Maddison, and I don't criticise them for selling him at all. He's a player that wanted to go. We couldn't keep him. Only way we'd ever keep those players is if we got promoted. So that's that's that debate over. The problem I have is I'm worried about our centre-back issue. We seem to have a bit of an imbalance of player qualities and positions. I looked at it today. We've got 5, as things currently stand, and I know it's subject to change in the next 24 hours potentially. We've got 5 strikers. We play 1 striker up front. We've got Pukki, Carlton Morris, Oliveira, Jordan Rhodes, and another one I can't think of off the top of my head. And we seem to have 3 right backs, and we seem to have quite a lot of midfielders. But we've only got 4 centre backs, and one of those is Ben Godfrey, and he played in midfield in League One. Now I'm just being pessimistic here and playing devil's advocate. Injuries happen in football, especially at centre backs, and I'm just worried. We have 1 injury. Then we've got an inexperienced centre back as a backup potentially. Zimmerman, maybe a loan signing perhaps might be. I know that's the next phase of this, but that's why I'm just thinking about redundancy of in that area. I think it's light, and I think it could come back to bite us. It's a long season.
Fair points, Steve.
I hadn't thought about that, and now I'm quite scared. I just want to go sit down and worry about it. I thought we had enough to worry about without the centre-backs. For me, the issue that we have is around the full-backs. So again, defensive. But there seems to be the sense of we'll buy these utility players who can play at full-back. And to me, it does a disservice to the position, because you kind of you look at last season, Harrison Reed. Oh yeah, we'll bring him in there over Pinto, and he can do a job, but that's not his preferred place.
No.
And Lewis is obviously injured now, so we're rightly playing Husband. Doubts, concerns over him, but for me, and we'll see this later in our starting 11s for Saturday, we've put Ben Marshall in there, and I know he can do a job there, but I want him to be in his preferred position up on the wing. I don't want someone who's kind of doing a job or covering a position. So I think there's still work to be done in terms of saying, right, I think, was it Mourinho a few seasons ago said, right, I want 2 players for every position and then my squad sorted.
Yep.
And I know you need that flexibility, and I know you need players to cover for eventualities, but I still think we're a little bit off it.
I mean, they've clearly concentrated on trying to have better attacking options in their fullback roles. I don't think they made a lot of goals from either flank last season, certainly in terms of their fullbacks. But then I guess it's a question mark over how well they can defend, and that's one we're going to see answered. And that's really interesting. There's a lot of other stuff going on elsewhere. I mean, are you finding it quite amusing? Because obviously we're going to sit here. We imagine Norwich probably won't do any significant business, but you see Ipswich have obviously done a couple of deals, but they've also gone out as well. Martin Wackon's been sold. Middlesbrough doing business. Tony Pulis said his squad wasn't good enough to go up on Saturday afternoon, which is
great for the players in the dressing room, isn't it? Thanks, boss.
I thought it was quite a bold call. Other clubs are trying to do business, aren't they? And that panic, Norwich aren't involved in that. Or would you rather there was that excitement?
Oh, I think there's always room for the excitement. Tell me, it's a drama. But I think, having said that, though, I think given our history...
Sorry, Josh is about to score a worldie on the screen.
He is indeed, absolutely. Sorry, I'm just
no, don't do it, Josh. Well. It's his goal against Villa, by the way. It's goal against Villa.
Yeah, well, no, I think the model that we're choosing, what's really important is we don't do panic buys. We've got a bit of a history lately of doing... I mean, Yannick Wiltshire, for instance, I think we could have paid an awful lot of money more for him if we'd gone up, but... given the current model, we need to live within our means. The finances can be just as devastating as poor performances, so we need to balance the books and must live within our means. So this notion of being solid at the beginning of the transfer window, buying players in early, I think it just gives fans confidence that we have an aim and a goal and we're achieving it.
I mean, Grant Hanley, I wouldn't want to call him a panic signing, but he was clearly we've lost to Millwall here. We need to do some build.
So is Tim Krul. I mean, that was clearly an afterthought, wasn't it? So it can have it with credibility.
I guess the guys know they're available anyway. But there we go. And you obviously mentioned Borough, Steve. Anything else caught your eye across the sort of transfer window in terms of elsewhere?
I think, I mentioned it on a previous show, is that my family is season ticket holders at Borough. And we were talking about Traore and the value that he brings, because he is an enigmatic player. He's like, sometimes he's awesome, sometimes he's not, but to my mind, those are the players I like to watch. So you could sit there and go, would you rather have a 10 out of 10 player one week and a 2 out of 10 the next, or a steady 6 out of 10 man? For me, it says about my personality. I want that player who can do something different and occasionally have and stink the place out. But
a Russian roulette player.
Yeah, and at the moment, I don't know who that is in our team. If you look at that squad,
I think it could be Onel Hernandez.
Yeah.
I think he'll be blistering one game, and just not, he did that last season. There were games that he just did not turn up on, but then again, he definitely turned up against Birmingham.
He did indeed. Thankfully, thank goodness. Let's get some messages here. Mark Parsons, is that Eric Cantona in the middle? Will you take that? I think he's talking about you, not Wesley Moore.
Well, I don't play like him, that's for sure. And I don't kick Crystal Palace fans either.
That's good.
But
can you speak French?
No. No. I work with a French guy.
Oh, well, that's close enough.
No, it's close.
Brilliant. Nikki Waller, are we getting yellow and green nets at Carrow Road this season? I don't think so. The last time I saw, they were still white. And in fact, we might have a video from inside Carrow Road in a little bit. But we do know, Stuart Webber, the sporting director, revealed on Friday that Norwich are going to shoot towards the Barclay in the second half next season, which apparently annoyed quite a lot of River End fans. Where do you sit?
I have a comment on that, and I know this is negative, but if you assume that there's an advantage to be had from kicking towards the Barclay, then why broadcast it? Why tell the world or anyone who could be bothered to listen that that's what you want to do? Because if I'm the opposition captain, I'm like, I understand they like to kick that end in the second half. All right, I pick that end. There was to my mind, there was nothing to be said from saying it. And I was going to tweet it, but then I thought, no, I'm just going to look like some sort of miserable old man.
I guess we hope no one was really paying attention to Stuart.
To be fair, they probably won't. It's not likely to sort of make frontline headlines, is it? Or front page headlines. But I just thought, why bother saying it? Just do it.
Shooting at the Barclay at the second half is the thing.
Yeah.
Now, it always used to be the other way around, didn't it? The preference was always to shoot at the Barclay in the first half so you can get the goal early and take the lead because of the sunshine. I did a stadium tour when I was 10, and they said that it's always a preference to have the goalkeeper's sun in the goalkeeper's eyes.
Yeah. Well, don't worry, don't bring logic into it, Ed. This is all about atmosphere.
I'm just worrying that, am I getting that old that the sun's changing its pitch or something? I don't know.
No, we're going to stick our goalkeeper in the blazing sun first.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, let's hopefully there's going to be no goals due to direct sunlight.
I think let's be honest, they've obviously tried to make a point of it helping the atmosphere, so it comes from a good place. We'll see how it factors out. We will see how it factors out. Lisa Jack, worry about different personnel but same tactics. A lot of possession but no urgency means keep doing the same things, means keep doing the same results. You know what I'm trying to say. What I want to see on Saturday is attack, attack, attack. There we go. Chant it, Lisa, and it might happen. David Footer, still think we need a pacey forward player. Without Hernandez, we have no pace in forward areas. Paul Clark, personally, I think it was a good point at Birmingham. Lee Coates, one more striker if Oliveira goes. Need a striker with some pace. Stuart Brooks, Naki Wells. Webber knows what he can do, which is true, although he was linked with Derby as a part of the switch which took Vidra to Burnley. That's where Naki Wells is at the moment. It's not been completed yet, though, so you never know. And Mark Parsons, why not push the boundaries and live just beyond our means and have a good go at this league? Some of the fans will want it.
No. Slippery slope. just ask a Leeds Portsmouth fan.
This is the perennial debate, and we will no doubt have it. Keep them coming in. We've still got a few more. Keep them coming in. As I said, we want to hear your one Carrow Road request for Saturday, but anything else too, let us know. I guess winning the toss will be one of them. Right, but until then, let's get on with this, shall we? It is a new season, but it is an old favourite. Someone who was very good at the old favourite, by the way, and a chance to settle some old scores. Here is Flip the Bird. Yes, you move your drink out of the way. That's right. I'll leave mine here. We'll leave the slides just out of here for a moment. This is, of course, our bar game where the guys get to show what they've got. Steve, you actually won this. Well, Joint won it with. Joint won it with Richard Balls last season on 12. On 30 seconds, 12 beer mats.
I'm just saying it's better to set the record than equal it. That's all I'm saying.
I'm sure Richard will be coming in at some point. Last week we kicked it all off. Dan O'Hagan and Di Cunningham scored 5 apiece, I think that's what they did. I didn't double check, but I'm sure it was 5 apiece. That kicked us off for the season. In short, the guys have 30 seconds to flip as many beer mats as possible by adding one more to their pile with each successful one-handed catch. Both scorers will find their way onto our leaderboard, and the winner gets a much prized selfie with Wesley Moulahan. Which the boys in the second. Are you nervous? You were so relaxed last time.
Well, there's a weight of expectation now, and then there's the demands of Europe to balance up. It's a different proposition completely.
Now, I do realise that we haven't set. Tom, have you got a timer to hand? Let's get a timer. Here we go. Dan's job, but as I said, Dan's ill on his sofa. I hope you're still watching, Dan. Get better soon.
Can we do this like the Gladiators, where I go on the first whistle and Steve goes on the second whistle?
You mean you want more time, Ed?
Maybe.
No. So 30 seconds once my clock is going, which is ready. So are you ready, boys?
Yep.
You know what to do. 3, 2, 1, go! Ed's a little bit quick off the mark, but we'll give it to him. Steve is looking a little bit nervous. Oh, Steve's a long way from the starts of last year. Ed's ticking on quite nicely. He's up to 3 already. Oh, he's just calmed down. And it's a little bit erratic. 15 seconds, halfway, gents. It's calm, and everyone's quieting down in the pub as well. The tension is palpable as everyone takes in just most people take in what's happening here with Flip the Bird, only our second edition of the season. Steve's just motoring on. 28-29, time's up! Wrap it up there, boys. Ed wants to know what he's got. 6.
Actually, I think it's 5.
Claim 6.
I didn't technically count the last one. Right. It's not like it's not recorded.
Okay, fine. No, there's no problem. 5 then for
7.
Ed. And 7 for Steve. He opens the door for the rest of the world. How about that, Steve? We won't maybe get an immediate.
Yeah, I'm at the ball pack. Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Ed? All right?
Pretty disappointing. I have words myself. Yeah.
You did run Norwich at the weekend.
Yeah,
Fair play for that.
I had words myself about that too. Yeah, but no.
But that's a great effort to complete it.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was really good atmosphere. It's really good. My first one actually, yeah. But then I should be beating that time basically.
Aww.
But there we go.
Well done, everyone who took part. Steve, do you fancy running that next year?
Yeah.
Did you run it this year?
No.
Okay, put you on record. You're going to run Norwich next year?
Yes, I will, and I will do it for the CSF.
Oh, there you go. There you go, Norwich City Community Sports Foundation. You have a new runner for next year. You lucky guys. Well done. So 7 and 5, wasn't it? we'll add it to the leaderboard, and we'll have the leaderboard back for next week's show. No one seems to be in the best of moods to have a selfie with Weathers and Houlihan, so we'll sort that out in a minute. We'll sort that out in a bit. Until then, shall we bring you our Norwich City notice board. It's kind of the same as last week, but the event still stands. Open in Norwich are hosting a live event with Paul McVeigh and Darren Huckabee. That's at 11 a.m. on Saturday, ahead of the game against West Brom. Tickets for the Canary Club, as I believe it's called, are available on Open's website. And also the excellent Norwich City Fans Social Club have a cracking night on Thursday lined up with a live forum led by my old mustard cohort Darren Eadie, alongside City's Managing Director Steve Stone and Sporting Director Stuart Webber. You can ask him about kicking towards the Barclay in the second half. That one at Carrow Road is just £3 on the door for adults and £1 for under 16s. One not to miss. You can quiz Steve Stone and Stuart Webber. And of course, we will have all the fun, rumours and reality, not so much fun, of Norwich City's deadline day tomorrow. Just follow us all at PinkUn.com throughout the day and right through to the 5 p.m. deadline. Don't clock on at 10 o'clock hoping you'll see an exciting last hour. It'll have been done well before that. So, the championship has begun. And yes, one game is most definitely enough to have a look at the table. But let's start with the weekend's results. Derby, Leeds and Aston Villa all had good opening results, but nothing compared to Brentford, who will have given Paul Warne a serious headache on Rotherham's return. Ipswich picked up a late equaliser in Paul Hurst's first game, while Wigan and Swansea won on their second-tier returns, albeit from opposite ends. And then the curiosity of two quick games saw Middlesbrough smash the Blades. There you go, Steve. Your family will be delighted with that. And Forest pegged back by West Brom just 3 days after the Baggies were humbled at home by Bolton. So, here you go. Borough are top. Sorry, I haven't got the slides there, gents, have you? Borough are top. They're all there. And they've signed Jordan Hugill today on loan from West Ham. Forest are 10th after 2 games, but have yet to win or indeed lose. Norwich are in a familiar position. They are 14th behind Ipswich on alphabetical order. Mind the gap. Sheffield United are bottom, but that may not last too long. It all kicks off on Friday night. Oh, no, that's not true. Fixtures. As for this weekend, here we go. Well, a little bit of last week's script. As for this weekend, all 24 teams play on Saturday with Derby at Leeds, the only game not kicking off at 3 p.m. Wigan will travel with a spring in their step to Villa Park, while Warniola's Millers get a quick look at Ipswich as Paul Hurst returns to his former club. The Bees at Stoke already looks tasty, and don't forget, it's the Carabao Cup first round next week. City host Stevenage at Carrow Road on Tuesday night. Oh, gentlemen, now I love the prospect of this championship season. I think it's going to be a corker. Some good stories brewing. What did you make of the opening weekend, Steve?
It's I think for me the standout result was Leeds beating Stoke, because for me I thought I had Stoke as one of the outstanding teams, probably top 2, if not playoffs for sure. And Leeds, I've really enjoyed laughing at Leeds in the past, because they have been a bit of a car crash of a club, and you just kind of get a sense that actually, they got off to a great start last season, it fell away, that was funny, but I've got a sneaky feeling that they could be the standout team this year. Really do.
I think it's so exciting. I cannot remember. I mean, the championship is always, no one really could, asking who's going to be in the bottom 3 and the top 3. It's nothing like the Premiership for obvious reasons. But I mean, just reading out all the names. I mean, who could potentially get promoted? It's unbelievable. It's like 2/3 could easily be. It's not beyond the wit of man to say someone like. I mean, you're just reading them now. I mean, Middlesbrough could go up. Aston Villa, Leeds. I'd say Derby definitely, Swansea. I mean, Preston, I think they've got...
you should have said Frank Lampard's
because
that's what they've now been renamed as.
Forest have spent a fortune of cash, and I watched them play last night against West Brom. They look, considering that they've actually got pretty much a whole new attacking setup, they look like they gelled pretty quickly. That looks something to be interesting about. It's not unheard of that a team that's won League One has gone up on a successive promotion. So Blackburn, any of these clubs, obviously not Ipswich, they're not going to go up. Millwall had a fantastic season last year. Bristol City so did they. West Brom are ex-Premiership. Wednesday have spent a lot of money in the past. They've obviously got things a bit differently now, but any one of these clubs could win. So it's just, and certainly with the money that Leeds have spent as well, they've splashed out, and their manager, I mean, it's just incredible.
Yes, it certainly is that. And you can, to me, see the teams that are going to struggle. I mean, I think Hull, I'm not convinced by Nigel Adkins. Rotherham, clearly. Sheffield United is an interesting one because this is their second season syndrome in a way, and they've tried to add a few players in. Norwich go there quite soon, in fact, so that will be quite interesting. QPR really struggling for money. Reading haven't done a lot. As you say, Sheffield Wednesday haven't brought anyone in. So Bristol City have sold a lot of players. Joe Bryan, I think, is going to go to Aston Villa before deadline closes. So, it's an interesting shuffling around still.
Picking up on Ed's point, though, about it being open, aside from perhaps Stoke, who, again, we're one game in, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if come the end of the season the table looked more or less like that, to be honest.
The accurate one-game table, I like that. That would be,
the best will in the world. Hopefully we've improved. But do we really think we'll finish playoffs? I don't know. I've yet to see anything, or yet to kind of suddenly think, oh yeah, it's all falling into place. So you'd like to think we'll finish top half. Ipswich, I don't know. They were at the start of the season third favourites for the drop, which puts them in the bottom three. But
they had a very interesting start last season, didn't they? Because I think 10 games in, they were still top or something like that, and they got drummed 5-0 or something like that, their last pre-season game. So it's just, it's just incredible what, how much it can change as well. But no, I think Ipswich are going to struggle this year.
Okay, so tip for the top. Give me a team.
Leeds.
Okay. Tip for the drop.
Rotherham.
Ipswich.
Oh, Ed. And with that, where are Norwich going to finish?
9th.
10th.
There we go. Season sorted. Let's all go home. Let's get some more of your questions and comments coming in. As I said, your one Carrow Road requests, get those into Rich Telworth, I think, or could be Holt. Anyway, Rich. Danny Hilton from Luton. Should he grab him for a bargain price? Such a hungry striker that gives so much. Barry Newman, a settled team is one of the key ingredients to being consistent in the Championship, but how is Farker going to keep each one of our overloaded number of midfielders happy over the course of the season? A lot of midfielders in this squad. Lorne Smyber, need Jamal fit as husband is woeful, in Lorne's words, not worthy to put on the yellow and green shirt. Steve Jones, if Nelson goes, do we get another striker in? No, would be my point. I think with Pookie and Rhodes, they've already brought in his replacements first. It's just if Nelson's still around, that's another striker to pick from. But you never know. I've been wrong before. Tony, hello, Stuart Webber. Oh, hello. Stuart Webber ain't ruling out a transfer deadline deal. He didn't rule that out. You are very, very right, Tony. Mark Parsons. So the panel agrees it has to be a conservative approach that will get us exactly where in the league. I'm thinking that. It's so hard to read messages on Facebook now. You need to change your app on Facebook. I'm thinking mid-table mediocrity. Do you want that? Do you want mid-table mediocrity, Ed?
Absolutely. Of course I don't. Of course I don't. Absolutely not. No, I just thought it'd be funny to say that. No, I want to get relegated. Yeah. No, I of course I do. I'd love it. I mean, when will you last win the league? I mean, it'd just be wonderful to see someone lift the cup up at Carrow Road again. And look, it's not beyond the wit of man. Potentially, we've spent more money than Millwall did last year, and it's not always the best barometer to judge, certainly not in this division. But, I'm not saying that we can't do it. I've just been having a bit of a realistic head on it. So definitely want us to go, absolutely, unequivocally.
I love it. Why not? Right, Jacob Seaman, do we have enough up front? Also, what is actually happening with Oliveira? Well, I think Norwich are playing the waiting game through the window to see who will come in for him, especially after Thursday, because then Norwich can loan him out to clubs outside of England. They can do that now, but of course the demand will be bigger. Likewise, they can sell him to clubs outside of England in the window if someone comes in. So I guess it all depends on who comes in. But if Nelson went, would you be happy enough with just the three? As in Pookie, Rhodes?
Because he seems intent on paying one up front, so basically you think with the three you're probably covered. I think it suits no one to have Oliveira at the club. If he's not going to play, and it's obviously he's a long way away from the first team, I don't know what his wages are like, but presumably he's on a decent enough wage, and so you sit there and think it suits the player to move elsewhere and get football. It suits us to get him off the wage bill rather than have a player who's going to be trotting around Colney kind of looking a little bit mardy, because he can do that as he's shown, he can do that when he is part of the starting 11. So if he's not, it can't be good.
Well, Jacob's just added in, I reckon Delia advertising us on EE advert will bring in the transfers. So we haven't even mentioned that, have we? But, let's be having you. It's a great line where she stuffs the chicken and goes, get in there. That's brilliant. Anyway, it is Carrow Road's return this weekend. And one thing you'll notice is a slightly different look for the Barclay stand.
We've been waiting all summer. We've been working on it really, really hard since we started talking with Norwich City, and today is a culmination of everything we've been planning. It's not our normal colours, but actually when we started talking to Norwich City about what we should do and how it should look, actually this is about the fans, it's about Norwich City and Norwich and Norfolk, and it was a no-brainer really, and it looks fantastic. Our brewery is 8 miles down the road. Our beers are in all the pubs around the city, and all the fans in the Barclay stand drink our beer, so we're really, really delighted. We are the largest brewer in Norfolk, and probably not everyone realises that, and it is a big commitment, but we thought it was a perfect fit for what we want to do. We have ambitions to really grow more nationally. We're now in all the major supermarkets, all the big pub groups around the whole country, so our word is getting out there, but this for us is about really cementing what we're all about, which is being born in Norfolk and supporting everything about Norfolk. All the way through the season we have a full package of activity which we will announce as we go, both for the fans in the stand and the stadium, but also around the town as well. So we have a long list of things that we're going to do to keep everyone engaged and hopefully spur the team on to success.
It will indeed be great to be back at Carrow Road. I have to admit though, and I don't think I've been shy in this, I am a little worried about what happened against Sunderland this time last season when they rocked up, because it's quite a similar situation. They kind of did a number on Norwich when they turned up at Carrow Road. Steve, how do we avoid that happening? And will Norwich avoid that happening again?
My concern is that on paper West Brom represent quite a significant challenge, and if Farke is in that kind of cautious state, he will be like, West Brom, good side, they're promoted side, or relegated side, good squad, that he will basically go out setting his team out not to lose. And for me, what they should be doing is kind of going, right, you know what, let's take this division, you have to win your home games, or at least try. And I was thinking about it the other day. I can't remember under Farke us dominating a team and actually converting that into a decent scoreline. When we win, it tends to be by the odd goal. When we lose, it tends to be by the odd goal. So we haven't got it about us to actually steamroller teams. And you kind of feel that he'll look at West Brom and think, do you know what, a draw would be a good result, or if we manage to snatch the win, it will be a good result. So we'll probably come on to it about what do you want from Carrow Road, but Carrow Road, the fans are desperate to see a team that's going to go for it and a team that could genuinely challenge, as opposed to playing out a series of up and down results and finishing 11th, 12th, 13th, whatever it may be. So
it's a curious one, because the performances where they did kind of just dominate and create chance after chance, they generally drew 0-0. And then if they did win sort of 3-1 or whatever, it was the second half that they really caught fire and that sort of stuff. It was a really strange mix of Carrow, and not as enjoyable probably as away from home. I think the away from home fans had a better time of it last year.
Right, yeah, I mean, I think it's the word is clinical, isn't it? We need someone who's going to be it's that massive ingredient of being able to finish. And that's, I probably do see that in Rhodes. I was just saying to Steve before we were on air that Rhodes is quite a prescribed. He needs to have the ball in a certain way. Most of his goals are in the 16-yard box, but people knowing that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I think what Steve said is actually, I think, really very accurate. And what we need to do, what Norwich fans deserve, is to see attacking, forward-thinking football, where we're chasing the first goal and we're not going to be reactive in any way. And whether that's possession-based or whatever way you like to do it, we need that first goal. We need to be clinical.
That's exactly it. Norwich will have spells of possession regardless. If they take their chances and do it regularly, people won't be concentrating so much on the.
And it's the final third, because I think there was an interview with Guardiola where he was talking about in the bottom two thirds, that's where you have your structure, that's where you have your shape, that's where you play possession. But actually in that final third, let your creative players create. Don't be prescriptive and do it at pace. And that was missing last year. And there have been signs that that's what he's trying to do. So if we see that on Saturday, job's a good one.
Well, Steve, let's see what you would do if you were Pep Guardiola stroke Daniel Farke and how your 11 would look. Should we do that? Should we go to Steve's first? Tom's happy, Tom's waving, that's good. Steve, your 11's in, talk us through it.
So, at the risk of incurring the wrath of my mum, I have dropped Tetty, but that's because I want to rest him, Mum. There's no other reason
Rest
than
him for Stevenage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But probably the biggest thing for me, I've brought in Paslak. I don't think he's had a particularly good pre-season. I don't think he's really shone as those who might play FIFA or Football Manager might have expected him to. But it probably picks up on the point I said before about you play players in their preferred positions. And for me, you don't stick Marshall as a right back, even though he can do a job there. You play him in his preferred position on the wing. And I thought he looked great going forward, so why wouldn't you play him up there? Mo Leitner has to go there because I just love Mo. So. And McLean, I think, we talked about Rhodes and the kind of striker he is before, but McLean seems to be a player who will get beyond the lines and will break the lines.
Yes.
And that's something that we haven't had for a while as well, someone who'll go beyond. So.
I like it. I still think there's a big gaping hole in midfield because I don't know if Tom can hold, but that's just my opinion. And we want to hear yours. No, hey, I like Tom a lot. Ed, should we have a look at your 11? Take us through this.
Yeah, sure, okay. So, I think it's the same back four as it was against Birmingham. It would have had Lewis in, Jamal Lewis, obviously, if he was available. There's still talk that he could be available, I think, but he's not to throw him in. Against not many games or no pre-season games against West Brom would be pretty tall order.
Would you start Jamal as well, Steve, if he was fit?
Yeah. I mean, I went for the husband as well at number 3, but more out of who else?
The problem I have with, if I'm looking at this as an offensive manager, who is the weakest link in this department? And I would think, I would say it is husband, and who plays on the right hand side of for West Brom, and that's Matt Phillips. Matt Phillips, all last night, he was getting the ball. He's tall, he's quick, he's strong. He would give husband, a hard time, and that will be the channel they'll go down. I want him to deliver. Husband is capable of delivering, but we've not seen enough of it in order to give us the confidence about it. But same. Tom Tribal and Tetty, they've got a lot of evidence based last year of being a 0-0 and defending, and we had that run last year where we won 10 games or something unbeaten. I think was it our longest ever unbeaten run? I think it was, wasn't it, last year? Am I making this
up?
Run
of clean sheets.
Run of clean sheets. That was right.
I think there are a few caveats.
Yeah, there might be a few caveats, but I'll take them.
Don't spoil it.
But and then I think Mo Leitner's got to get some games under him. He's got to start for me, and maybe is he a natural number 10? I don't know. Perhaps he needs to be a bit deeper, perhaps, because he can read the game a bit better. McLean plays on the left, has played for Aberdeen on the left. I know he prefers to play number 10. Perhaps they can switch, but we've got to take the game to West Brom.
Brilliant stuff, Edward. Top man. Right, let's just get through some of your questions, shall we? Barry Newman, is Farke tinkering with our formation? 3-5-2 last season, 4-1-4-1 this season. Despite pre-season, does he know his best team or formation? Well, we will see. I think it's going to be really interesting how he plays it at Carrow Road, most definitely on Saturday. Carl Jockett, we will lose by the odd goal on Saturday, 1-2. That's the spirit, Carl. St John Cooper, this is spot on. Under Farke, we don't have enough fire, which is a point that has come up before. And he says husband is not good enough. Lorne Smybert kind of joins in with that. I would rather have Delia at left back than husband. I think that's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, I hope. And Lee Coates have to play attacking football at home, and indeed, Lee, at the home of football, as we know Carrow Road is. Great messages, keep them coming in over the course of the season. Of course, there's one more, which if I can read it, would be nice, but Facebook doesn't want me to. Which player do you feel can fill Maddison's boots this year, creating goals and scoring them? Rhodes, Pookie, Leitner? Give us a name.
McLean. He's played in that position for Aberdeen. Or Leitner.
I'm going to say no one. Because the bottom line is Maddison's a special talent. And what he did last season was kind of unique, which is why we've sold him for a club record fee. What we have to do is find a balance in the formation and with the players that we've got to actually do effectively what he did collectively. So we're going to need midfield to contribute with goals. We're going to need to find the balance in midfield. But you can't suddenly pluck another Madison out there for me.
Give him a couple of months. Emi Buendia. There you go. Right. Well, I'm hoping so. Key man and prediction then for Saturday, gents. Ed?
We're going to lose. Seriously, Carl's right. I can't see us winning. Seriously, I can't.
Okay.
I do because I want us to win. Of course I do. I'm a Norwich City fan, season ticket holder, and lifelong fan. But people are writing West Brom off. Seriously thinking about this. You've got Matt Phillips on the right hand side. You've got Joe Rodriguez, and now they've got Dwight Gale. And when they came on yesterday, he was giving Nottingham Forest a handful. These are proven, pretty established players, and I've just got this feeling that we're going to lose 1-2.
Okay, fair. He does completely agree with you there. That's good.
So we run a predictions piece on My Football Right, and I've already gone 1-1. And that was before Dwight Gale came in. But for me, I think we'll get a draw out of it. Okay. And I think Dwight Gale will score in the 95th. And I'll just go, you little rascal.
I'm sure that's exactly what you'll say. Carl it was who Ed agrees with. Well done, Carl. Yes. Ed agrees with you completely. There we go. We are done. That is it from us for tonight. Remember, you can catch all of this show and our superb Norwich City content and coverage over at the PinkUn Facebook page and YouTube channel, but of course, primarily, first and foremost, PinkUn.com. We'll be all over the website tomorrow for transfer deadline day 1 of the summer, so keep tabs on PinkUn.com. And I'll be at Carrow Road on Saturday alongside David Freezer and, of course, Paddy Davitt. So make sure you keep tabs on the website for all our build-up team news, live coverage, reaction, and analysis. And if you see us around with our cameras, then make sure you come and say hello. And of course that goes for City's visit from Stevenage in the League Cup on Tuesday night. As for the PinkUn Show, we will be back next Wednesday live again from 7 p.m. here at the Woolpack on Golden Ball Street in the centre of Norwich. So please join us, be it in the flesh or online. And it's worth adding, if you want us to come to your local, be it pub, cafe, chilling room, lounge, I guess probably, if you're going to put on some, tea, simply send us an email to thepinkun@archant.co.uk and we'll do the rest. We've already had a couple of pubs suggested, so keep them coming in. In the meantime, a big thank you to our guests tonight, to Steve and to Edge. Enjoy it?
Yeah, very much. Thank you very much. Really
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
They've got over there, flip the bird trauma. Thank you so much, gents. Much appreciated. Of course, thank you to the Woolpack and to the crew, which is basically Tom on his own. Top job, Tom. Well done. He is literally giving a fist bump. And of course, to you guys for watching and getting involved. We'll see you next week. And in the meantime, here's to City sending the baggies packing. Good night.